Personal Shopper. This is Kristen Stewart on the big screen, teaming up again with Olivier Assayas. But again, Kristen Stewart, there's no reason to tune off now because she's fine. She's actually really good. Well. So what's it all about?
Yeah, well, this is a premiere at Cannes.
It did.
Last year, and basically Kristen Stewart plays a character who is a medium, and she's in Paris, and her brother has passed on, and she is staying in Paris so she can receive a sign from her brother and know that there is an afterlife, I guess. Yeah. All this while she's a personal shopper for a fashionista who is going to Milan for the week in the shopping area, so in the fashion festival. So she is basically there acting as sort of like the personal shopper. Yeah, that's her personal shopper. Yes. Yeah, and so it's just the whole film is basically that, her waiting for that sign. But during the film, she starts receiving texts from an unknown source as well, and you're never quite sure who's it from.
No.
So yeah, this film. Yeah, I mean, where does one even start?
Well, let's start by the sort of the stuff that came before it. The last film that Olivier Assayas did with was it Juliette Binoche?
Yeah.
And Kristen Stewart and Chloe Moretz, Clouds of Sils Marie, which was really good, really interesting. And so I went into this with really high expectations, but I was conscious that people have been criticising it. Not everyone's a massive fan of it. But I am pleased that he's given Kristen Stewart a leading chance because she deserves it. All the years she's been doing these little indie roles, trying desperately hard to shed that horrible Twilight image. And I think this is the one that finally does it. This is the one that puts any nails in the coffin of that awful saga, which Bill Condon, who made Beauty and the Beast, actually was part of as well. So for both of them, it's kind of been a big journey to distance himself from that wretched franchise.
Kristen Stewart, as an actress, has always seen someone who's been very, very uncomfortable in her own skin.
Yes.
And I think this is the absolute biggest pro in this film.
It works in
her favour admirably. Yeah. Like she fills that role massively.
She's she's made that kind of awkward indie girl her own.
Yeah, I mean, it's this film. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's more to the story than we explained, but just the fact that it goes through a lot of tonal shifts through the film, and there's a lot of sort of jarring moments that sort of catch you off guard. I mean, the entire opening sort of gambit is when she's in the old house that her brother lived in, and she's trying to receive that sign for the first time, and that sort of goes to her living her life as a personal shopper while she's still waiting in Paris for the sign. So it's a very interesting character for Kristen Stewart to take on, and I felt like I did get behind her because, as you say, she's very uncomfortable in her own skin. She wants to be someone else, and it's nice to see a character who's written like that, who's not sort of like infallible. Yeah, and like there's a lot of layers to her, and she's a very complex character in herself. But I mean, the film itself is. I mean, I think the one way I describe it is atmosphere.
Oh, it's a lot of atmosphere.
It's a lot of atmosphere. There's a lot of.
Well, actually, there's some scenes where it's a lot of atmosphere, and that's when she's in the house looking for the spirits. There's some scenes with no atmosphere at all because. I mean, I've seen this described in a review, I can't remember where it came from, I do apologise, as a ghost story for the iPhone generation. Can we just take a second to realise how depressing that is as a line? A ghost story for the iPhone generation. How stupid do you think we are that we need things to have iPhones in them to be part of an iPhone generation? I think it's one of the most
banal,
boring things. I mean, it's why people criticise Jason Bourne, for example. It's not really that interesting to watch people type, and it's even less interesting because there's no like spy stuff here. It's literally just watching somebody wait for texts. I saw no real mystery in those points because I kind of sussed it was going to be anyway. It's very tedious. It's one of the most tedious things you can do. It's like sitting next to somebody who's on the phone all the time, cough, and it's really, really boring, and really you get nothing from that person. It kind of renders them inoperable, and that's what the film does. It renders the entire thing inoperable, where you wait for this text conversation to stop. And it's a shame because Kristen Stewart is really good, and when she's on the screen, and she's on the screen for the whole thing, she's in every single scene. There's nothing that she's not involved in. She's front and centre, which is obviously a conscious decision to give her that much status. I think the film goes like too deep. I got lost in it, but not in a good way. I don't mind getting lost in a film as long as I can get back out again. And I just felt like this didn't go in a good place.
No.
Joe, you saw it as well. What do you think?
I'm still trying to. I don't know, it's weird. One of them where I kind of came out the cinema, didn't really think about it much after, to be honest.
Because you wanted to see this film, didn't you?
Yeah, I was interested. I mean, I enjoy Assayas' films, but for this one, that really grabbed me. Still don't know what to make of it. I haven't really thought about it much. Some sequences were enjoyable. The iPhone sequence was rather tedious.
Very tedious. It's because there's so much of it as well.
Yeah. I honestly had no opinion on it at the moment. I've no way to collect my thoughts. It's just doesn't.
It's just there.
It's just one of the films where I kind of watched it and didn't really think much of it.
I think one of the things that the film does, I mean, this isn't what the film's going for, but there's a tiny nice little bit of commentary on sort of celebrity and how vacuous it all is, but that's not what the film's going for.
There's a lot about identity in the film. Obviously, it's the fact that she is incredibly uncomfortable in her own skin, and the best scene in the whole film is when she's trying on the clothes of the person she's personal shopping for, and I think that just gives a lot of levity to the character. And I think if it stayed as a pure ghost story, it would have been a lot stronger. I think rather than just because there's a lot of atmosphere, but is there too much?
Possibly, I think there's a weird imbalance. I mean, I like that there's the relatable feelings, because everyone kind of has that time when they want to be somebody else, don't they? Like, everyone has that, and I think it's well realised by Kristen Stewart, somebody who you can sort of see being a similar kind of person in real life to the character, but still feels different enough from herself to be a character and not just Kristen Stewart going, oh, look at me, I'm so awkward. This has been the Spark Film Show for another week. Thank you for joining us. We're back next Friday at 10 o'clock with Power Rangers.